Good morning. So today we're going to teach you how to clean the KM901 MAJ Hajisaki ice machine. This is a fairly large unit. It's usually found in restaurants that only have one ice machine. And if you don't know if yours is a KM901 MAJ, I'm going to show you where to find it. Hold on just a sec. So with the front cover removed, you're going to see the compressor right here, the big black piece. And then you're going to see a water pump over here. The data label is going to be right here, and if you look right there is the model number, KM901 MAJ. These cleaning instructions are specific to this machine, this model. This is a fairly popular model. We're going to see in a lot of restaurants, especially restaurants that only have one ice machine. All right, so to start off with, we're going to grab our delimer. The Burger King part number is 052575. The K chemical number is 02722-044. So we need to grab a pitcher. We're going to fill this up with hot water. All right, once we've got our pitcher full of hot water, and you want this water as hot as you can get it, it's going to help the tablets to dissolve. For this model of machine, we're going to use 2 tablets. So we're just going to take and drop them into the water. And then we're just going to let that sit and let those tablets dissolve. All right, so back at the machine, we're going to go up to our toggle switch. We have 3 positions: off, ice, and wash. We're going to turn this to the off position. And then we're going to come over, we're going to take our foam insulation off. You're going to lift the lid up just a little bit, and then this foam insulation piece will pick up and pull off. So next thing we got to do is take this cube guide out. In order to do that, we're going to take this plastic piece off. So this will just snap off of each one of these little copper tubes here. And then we'll pull this piece out of our way. Next, we're going to come up here to this clamp. We're going to slide the clamp down the pipe and then pull the tube off and down, and that's just to get it out of our way. These tubes are going to bend. So next we're going to grab our cube guide, and you got to kind of give it a little bit of a pull and the cube guide will come out. This cube guide, you want to take a look and make sure that you don't have a bunch of broken pieces on this. These little plastic pieces will break off, and when they do, they'll get stuck in the pump. It's going to cause the pump to either burn up or at a minimum stop working. All right, so after we've inspected our grate piece, next thing we need to do is drain the tank. So down here you can see this is a tank full of water. In order to do that, we got to get the sump out. So we're going to pull the plastic piece off the top here and pull it off of here. And then this is going to come out. And then back at the machine, there's going to be a white tube in here. Pull that guy straight up, and he's going to come out. And again, we want to look at all of these parts, see if there's any major deposits or buildups. So the next piece that's going to come out is really kind of hard to see. It's that piece right there, and it actually unscrews. So we're just going to unscrew it and pull that up. Now you'll notice the water level is starting to drain, and we're going to let that drain all the way. Now when you take off this piece that we unscrew, there's supposed to be an O-ring right there. All right, so there should be a black O-ring on this. If there's not when you take it out, that's fine. Just reach down in the water tank, down in this area here, you'll find that O-ring, and then you can just slide it back on. So now that we got the tank drained, we need to get the tank filled back up again. So to do that, we're going to take this piece and we're going to put it right back in. So we're going to take this, slide it in, and then screw it in place. And this doesn't have to be crazy tight, it just has to be snug. Okay, once that's snug, we can go ahead and reattach our water line up here. Once we've got our water line reattached with the clamp, if this guy came out, he just goes right in here. And next we're going to go over and we're going to put this into ice, our toggle switch into the ice position. What that's going to do is it's going to start the water flow and it's going to fill our tank back up again. Now, while that's filling the tank, we're going to go over, we're going to make sure that our delimer has completely dissolved, or at least the vast majority of it has. And then we're going to take this and we're just going to pour it right down here. Once we've got all of our delimer in, we're going to watch until the water level comes up to roughly about an inch or so below where that silver bracket is. At the same time, we're going to come over here, we're going to turn this knob to the up position, and then we're going to put it into a wash. So we'll flip the toggle switch over to wash. And so what's happening now is our cleaning solution is being pulled through the pump. It's being pushed up, going through all of our water passages, and then coming down the evaporator, and then falling right back into that tank. So we're going to let this run like this for at least a half an hour. If you want to go a little longer, that's fine too. So we're going to let this run, and then we'll come back and I'll show you how to do sanitizing. Also, while the machine is in that wash cycle and is just circulating water, now is a really good time to kind of go around and try to clean up some of the stainless steel, wipe out, any deposits that are down here, anything that's in the compressor area. This is not going to ever get to shiny stainless steel. It was never shiny when brand new, so don't try to scrub that down and get it perfect. We're just trying to get the worst of it off. We're also going to be looking for any kind of leaks or drips or anything like that inside of here. And maybe just doing a little bit of dusting. Located someplace on your machine, you should have your monthly cleaning tracker. The company policy is that these machines are cleaned once a month. In the owner's manual for the machine, it says once a year. However, we found that's not nearly enough, and we end up having a bunch of problems with service calls for machines that are just dirty. So here's a real basic example of a cleaning schedule. So scheduled to clean on date, when it was actually completed, and who did it. As you can see in this store, it looks like Corey takes care of it the vast majority of the time. All right, here we are back at the machine. We're just finishing up the end of the wash cycle. It's been about 35 minutes. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to come up here. We're going to turn our toggle switch to off. Then we're going to turn our wash valve to the horizontal position so it's not in line with the pipe. Then we're going to reach in and we're going to unscrew this again, and we're going to drain this tank. We're going to let all of that old stuff come out. So we're just draining the water out of this that has the delimer in it. We're going to let all that water run out and get out of there. And then once the tank is empty, we can go ahead and rethread this in. Oh, we'll let that last little bit leave. Okay. We'll thread him back in. And then we'll grab our pitcher of sanitizer. without making a mess. And we'll pour that into that tank. It's hard to do one-handed. All right, so as you can see, sanitizer solution is in there. Now we're going to go up, we're going to put this back into ice mode. And what we want is for it to fill this tank back up again. So here in just a second, you're going to see water flowing. So that's the machine filling the tank back up. And we want to fill it up to about the same amount that we had when we put in the K chemical. So if you look, let me get this guy out of the way. That silver bar there, we want the water to be about an inch or so below that. It's not a precise measurement. We just need to make sure we got enough water in it that the pump's not going to run dry. So once we've got enough water, we're going to come back over to our toggle switch. We're going to go from ice to wash. And so now you can see the pump is pulling the water out of the tank. It's pushing it back up and over the evaporator, which is the part that makes the ice. And we're going to let this run for a couple of minutes, about 3 to 5 minutes. Then we're going to drain it. We're going to put some more sanitizer in it and then fill it up again. Let it run for another couple of minutes. The last cycle is going to be just fresh water. So we're going to do this 3 total times. I'm not going to show you in this video, but when you're cleaning your ice machine, it's also a good time to clean your bin. In order to clean your bin, you have to empty all of the ice out, and then you're going to take sanitizer, spray on the inside of the bin, the outside of the bin, wipe everything down, and then rinse it with fresh water. All right, so this is the second run with the sanitizer solution. So at this point, we're going to drain the tank again. So we're going to turn the machine off. Then we're going to come down here, unscrew our drain. We're going to let that tank drain out. And then this last run, we're just going to do fresh water through it. And then we can put our drain plug back in, snug it up. Then we're going to come up to our toggle switch. We're going to put this into ice. And here in just a second, it's going to start filling that tank up again for us. So just so that we don't have to wait quite so long for the tank to open or to fill up, we can come over here to the sink and fill up a pitcher of water and add to it. And we can just dump that right in. Okay. So once the tank is full, again, we're going to come up here, we're going to put it into a wash. And we're going to let it run for 3 to 5 minutes, just like that. Then after that's done, we'll drain that tank one last time, and then I'll show you how to put it all back together. All right, so it's been about 5 minutes. This is the fresh water rinse. We're going to come back up. We're going to turn the machine off. Then we're going to pull our drain out one last time. We're going to let that water drain out. So the total time to clean this machine, actual hands-on time, is about 15 to 20 minutes. There is a lot of waiting. You got to let the wash cycle run with the de-limer in it for about a half hour. Then you got to let it run the sanitized cycle twice, and then run the fresh water once at about 3 to 5 minutes each. So it does take a little bit of time to clean it. But while this is running, your crew can be off doing whatever else they need to do. So we're going to get this guy screwed back in. And then snug him up. So the next piece that needs to go in is going to be this white tube. And you'll notice on the bottom of it, there's 4 cutouts. Make sure that goes down. So we're going to slide this guy in. And then we're going to position it. Let me see if I can get you a little bit better angle. I'm going to pull this tube out of the way. Okay, so we're going to position this over, and then you'll feel it kind of click down in place, okay? So if it doesn't click down in, just keep turning it until it does click down in. Next piece to go in is going to be this one, and he's just going to sit right on top of that plastic tube we just put in, and then the other end of the hose is going to connect right here. Make sure you get it all the way on. Quick tip for you, if you have problems getting these pipes on and off and they just fight you really bad, grab some ice cream lube and just put a little of that ice cream lube around the fitting, and then usually the tube will slide right on for you. All right, so now that we've got this guy in place, we've got our tube disconnected, we've kind of got room here to get our cube guide in. In order to make it a little easier to get the cube guide in, this thumb screw right here, we're going to take him out, and then this is going to pull towards you, and if you wiggle it, wiggle it, wiggle it, you'll be able to pull this out, and that's going to give you a lot more room in order to get the cube guide in there. So the toughest part of getting the cube guide in is in the very, very back. Way back here, there's a little plastic piece, and that cube guide sits behind that plastic piece. If you've got it on this side of the plastic piece, you're not going to be able to get the cube guide in the right spot. So on the bottom of the cube guide, which is this guy, there's these little notches that are cut out. Those notches sit on these tabs right here, and then the other end of the cube guide sits in this channel. So this is kind of a pain to get it in. The more you do it, the easier it gets. So I'm going to slide the cube guide back as far as I can get it, and then I got to reach into the back, pull that little plastic piece so that it's on this side of the cube guide, and then the cube guide will sit up and in place. So again, if the cube guide is in there properly, you're going to see that the top of the cube guide is recessed into that notch, and then down here you can see how this sits, this little angle here sits on there flush, and it's all the way touching, and it should be that way all the way to the end. So next we're going to put on that piece that we just took out. So this little diverter tray here, if you look, it's got a big hole and a little slot. So up here you can see that big knob. That's what's going to go into the big hole. There's another one in the very back. So make sure you get them both in place. Now, when I took that off, you can see here, this is an area that obviously hasn't been cleaned in a little while. So before I put this back on, I'm just going to hit this area real quick with some sanitizer and clean it up. All right, so that didn't really want to clean up that good, but it's not an area that actually touches any of the water. I am going to bring it up to the manager's attention so that next time they clean it, they can work on that area just a little bit more. To put this piece in, again, we just line up the big hole with the little knob sticking out. Once it goes in, there's 2 of them, and then we'll slide it back. We put that thumb screw back in place. Okay, so now that we've got the tray back in, we're going to go ahead and put our water line back on, and then put the clamp back on. So you guys probably didn't take this off. I did just to make it easier for the video. So we'll go ahead and put this back on. there are two sides to this. One side has a spring inside, the other side does not. The side that has the spring goes down. The side without the spring goes up. Okay, the spring just helps to keep it from kinking. So then we've got this piece to go back on. This is just going to clip onto the metal or the copper tubes here. So we just push that back in place. And make sure that the bottom of it is inside of that cube guide that we just put in. So again, if you install this properly, it's going to be inside of the cube guide here. This diverts the water into the cube guide. Then after that, we can go ahead and put this into ice, and then just let it start making ice, and everybody's happy. All right, so here's a quick video on how to clean the KM901. This is a air-cooled model. This does also apply to the water-cooled models. There are a couple of variations to this. If you don't have this style pump in yours, you've got a little bit of an older unit, and draining the tank on that is a lot easier. There's going to be a silver plate here that you can take off, and you're going to see a black hose right inside. You pull that hose off and it will dump the water out of the tank. It dumps it down into your ice bin though, so make sure that you don't have any ice in here, especially when you're cleaning the machine, because otherwise you're going to be dropping all of those chemicals onto your ice, and we wouldn't want that. So thanks for watching, and if you got any questions, let me know. Thanks. Bye.